Greetings, curious souls and seekers of the strange. A particularly warm welcome to those who have yet to walk through this door. Welcome to number 11, your gateway to the forgotten and unseen, where every letter opens a door to the unknown. In the shadowy corners of our world, beyond the veil of everyday life, lies a realm of macabre mysteries and supernatural encounters. Here at number 11, we share first-hand accounts of the spine-chilling and the otherworldly, penned by those who have bravely stepped into the darkness and returned to tell their tales. Today, we delve into another chilling narrative sent to us from the cusp of the unexplained. Join me as we unravel the unsettling story that lies within. Dear number 11, I'm writing this in an attempt to spread awareness. I've never really done anything like this before, but I saw your request online for any information about otherworldly experiences and wondered if you might be able to cast some light on this situation. This occurred just last summer, and as you'll see, it's definitely not just a regular daily event. Anyway, it all happened when I and some friends had planned to go camping. I had been looking forward to this camping trip for months. It was supposed to be a group adventure with my oldest friends, a reunion of sorts. But one by one, they all cancelled. Responsibilities, last-minute emergencies, and sheer laziness left me the sole survivor of our well-laid plans. Determined not to let the trip go to waste, I decided to go alone. The idea of a solitary weekend in Kielder Forest held a strange allure. It felt like an adventure I was destined to undertake. As I arrived, the early evening sun cast long shadows across the dense woodland. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, and the forest seemed to hum with a quiet, almost tangible energy. I found a suitable clearing surrounded by towering conifers and the occasional broad-leaved tree, the perfect spot to set up camp. Unpacking my gear, I found a place for everything. My tent nestled against the roots of an ancient oak, a fire pit just a few feet away, and my backpack resting on a patch of dry moss. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, and I quickly gathered kindling for a fire. By the time the first stars pierced the twilight, I had a small, cheerful blaze crackling away. As night descended, the forest around me came alive with sound, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant hoot of an owl, and the occasional snap of a twig that made me startle and glance around nervously. Despite the peaceful fire, an unsettling feeling began to creep in. The woods felt different at night, more oppressive, as if they were watching, waiting. I tried to shake off the unease, telling myself it was just the solitude playing tricks on my mind. I unpacked my dinner, a simple affair of canned stew and bread. As I ate, I realized I'd forgotten my favorite camping knife back at the car, a small yet sentimental item given to me by my father. Annoyed at my forgetfulness, I resolved to retrieve it the next morning. The night grew colder, and the noises seemed to grow louder. The fire cast long shadows, and the forest beyond its light became an impenetrable wall of black. I decided to turn in, hoping sleep would come quickly and carry me through to morning. But sleep was elusive. Lying in my tent, every rustle, every snap seemed amplified 100-fold. At some point, I must have dozed off, but I was awakened by a sound that sent a chill down my spine, a distant, haunting toll of a bell. I sat up, heart pounding, straining to hear it again. Moments later, there it was, a soft, rhythmic ringing as if from a church bell, but muffled and eerie, echoing through the woods. Curiosity got the better of me. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out into the cold night air. The fire had dwindled to glowing embers, casting a faint red light. I swept my beam across the trees, searching for any sign of movement. The bell continued to toll, a hypnotic sound drawing me deeper into the forest. I walked, each step taking me further from the safety of my camp. The trees closed in around me, their branches like skeletal arms reaching out. The beam of my flashlight flickered, and I cursed under my breath, tapping it to keep the light steady. The bell seemed to grow louder, more insistent, leading me through the labyrinth of the woods. Suddenly the ground beneath me gave way, and I stumbled into a shallow ditch, my flashlight clattering out of my hand. As I scrambled to my feet, the light caught something, a structure half hidden by the trees. It was a small, dilapidated hut, its wooden walls weathered and moss-covered. The bells tolling seemed to emanate from within. Against all rational thought, I approached the hut. The door was ajar, and with a creak that echoed in the silent night, I pushed it open. Inside, the air was cold, and the smell of damp and decay was overpowering. The walls were lined with strange symbols, drawn in what looked like ash and dirt. In the center of the room stood a makeshift altar, draped in a threadbare cloth. On it lay small, peculiar items, feathers, bones, and a rusty bell that tolled with an unseen wind. A sudden movement in the corner caught my eye. A figure shrouded in shadows, standing motionless. My heart raced and I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my own feet. The figure moved, stepping into the faint light. It was draped in tattered robes, its face hidden beneath a hood. It raised an arm, pointing directly at me, and in a voice that seemed to come from the depths of the earth, it whispered directly into the center of my head, "You should not be here." Panic took hold, and I turned and fled, crashing through the undergrowth, heedless of the branches that scratched at my face and clothes. The bells tolling seemed to follow me, growing louder, more frantic. My flashlight flickered and died, plunging me into darkness. I ran blindly, driven by sheer terror, until I finally burst into my campsite, gasping for breath. The fire had gone out completely, and the forest was silent once more. I collapsed into my tent, trembling, and pulled my sleeping bag tight around me. Eventually, exhaustion claimed me, and I fell into a fitful sleep. I awoke at dawn, the first light filtering through the trees. The terror of the night felt like a distant nightmare, but the soreness in my limbs and the scratches on my skin were all too real. I stepped out of the tent, half expecting to find the hut looming in the morning light. But there was nothing, just my campsite and the quiet, indifferent forest. As I packed up my belongings, I noticed something was missing. The small silver compass my father had given me, a keepsake I always kept in my backpack's front pocket. I searched frantically, but it was gone. A sense of loss and unease settled over me. It had been with me on every camping trip, a symbol of guidance and safety. Leaving Kielder Forest, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. The forest had taken something from me, a piece of my past, a cherished memory. And in return, it had left me with a sense of dread, a whisper of darkness that I would carry with me always. As I drove away, I glanced back at the towering trees, their branches swaying gently in the morning breeze. The forest remained, ancient and unfathomable, guarding its secrets, whispering to those who dared to listen. Well, my dear listener, we have once again reached the end of a truly terrifying encounter. Thank you for joining us on this journey to the cusp of the unexplained. If you happen to have your own otherworldly tale, or an encounter with the supernatural perhaps, we invite you to share it with us. Here at number 11, your story could be next to open the door to the unknown. Remember, the shadows hold more than just darkness. They hide secrets waiting to be told. I'd like to personally thank you for joining us here at number 11 for this spine-tingling tale, particularly if this is your first visit. If you have enjoyed tonight's encounter, don't forget you can help spread the word by using the like button. Should you wish, you may subscribe for more paranormal encounters. I would eagerly invite you to offer any suggestions to our brave writer for tonight's episode. You can do so by sharing your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Until next we meet, keep your eyes open and remember, when the lights dim and the shadows lengthen, don't look away. You never know what might be staring back at you. Good night and farewell.